What if I said that ADHD doesn't exist? Yeah, you're going to come after me for that. Okay, stick with me because at the end of this podcast, my goal is for you to see ADHD, neurodivergence, and even just what we classify as neurotypical and neurodivergence in a different light. And that, I hope and I believe, is going to help you break free of the constraints ADHD or say another neurodivergent disorder, say that in air quotes, is limiting you. It is going to help you move past that. It's going to help you break through the barriers it's creating, the plateaus it's creating, by seeing this all through a different lens. So ADHD does not exist. And what do I actually even mean by that? Welcome to Beyond Meds, for ADHDers who've tried all the strategies, but life still feels like you're swimming upstream. We go beyond basic ADHD advice to uncovering the root cause solutions that actually work, med-free. About 10 years ago, I want to say, the movie came out called Divergent. It was a movie series. It was also based on a book. So if you've read it, fantastic. If not, I'll give you the high level. It was about, it's a sci-fi, so dystopian society, and it was based, or the society was based on 4 different factions. So these factions were groups of people. When you turn 12 or 13, you're placed in one of these factions that become your new family. And each faction has a certain ideology, a certain, I want to say theme. Theme just is a word that's coming to me, but it's like certain personality characteristics define one faction. Like one is all about candor. It's called candor. So it's all about saying the truth, being of the truth, finding what is right in society, very just. Even if it affects, a close family member, but you have to do the right thing. You have to be just. That's what you do. It's very black and white within that. And then one is all about harmony and giving and happiness and joy. But it's like over the top. It's like the toxic version of just being so selfless that you're losing yourself. You're losing your self-worth because you're giving so much of yourself. And so each of these factions, it incorporates an ideology that's great, but it's taking it to the extreme that it becomes toxic. Now, there's people that don't fit into any of these, and they are called divergent, and they are outcasts. They are killed. And the reason they're divergent is because they, within them, have all of these elements, all of these characteristics. They are a bit candor. They are a bit selfless. They are a bit, adventurous. They have all of these different elements within them, but that's a threat to society because they don't fit into one of those 4 boxes. And what these divergent really are is they're actually awake. They're conscious. They realize, wait a second, I don't fit into any of these. And society tells me that's wrong. But actually, what if this is the way forward? And they are actually the way forward. They're what the world used to be. We're not currently stuck into 4 factions, but how the world used to be, where we're operating as our own unique human being, but then, war broke out and destroyed, I believe, all of society. So they thought the only way that humans could live together was if we split ourselves into 4 boxes that, could coexist. But then they realized, wait a second, that path forward is, how it was, is being our own unique being and embracing all of these characteristics that we are, with our differing opinions, our different perspectives, and being able to, of course, respect that from each person. So the ruler of this dystopian society is at a threat. It's like, if these divergents come back in, they're gonna, outrule me, but they're seen as radical because they are awake to what's actually happening. They're conscious of like, wait a second, this isn't working. They're trying to essentially numb us from what's actually going on by placing us into a certain box, a certain ideology, and telling us this is how we must live our lives. There's more to it, of course. Go watch the movie, go read the book. It's excellent. I do recommend it. The reason I'm sharing this with you is, well, first of all, examples we are familiar with can help us understand a concept of this whole ADHD doesn't exist. So again, stick with me. Don't crucify me yet. Let's just pretend this is not a truth. It's not my belief, but I just want to use this as an example. Let's pretend in that story that the divergent are actually neurodivergents. Let's just use that, where they're the ones being like, I don't fit into that box. I don't fit into that box or that box or that box. Where do I fit? And society casts them out. But when they start to wake up, I'm like, wait a second. I'm told that I'm like have no self-worth. I'm told that I'm useless in society, that I am literally an outcast. But actually, I'm not. And just because I don't fit into one of those boxes doesn't mean I'm not a worthy being. It actually means that I'm owning who I am. I'm owning my skill set. I'm owning my personality and how I see the world. And actually, how I'm living is the way forward, right? So if we think of those factions as the neurotypical, if we think of the divergent as neurodivergent, we can start to see similarities of how our society is set up and how us as neurodivergent, or if you're not neurodivergent and watching, listening to this, how that can be seen. Again, this is not my truth. I'm not saying that the neurodivergent are the ones that are awake and bringing about the new world. I'm just showing or comparing of how our society is, what I see is set up, and how we're trying to operate within this very kind of segmented society. So let's take a look at society as we know it. And this may vary based on where you live geographically. But my favorite example, the 9-to-5 work week, which is starting to break down, but it still exists. Where at one point in time that was created, 40-hour work week, you're going to work, 9 to 5. This is how it is. If you can't do this, and this is what we're starting to see now with ADHD diagnoses, where people are like, I can't do that. I can't focus for that long. I'm not productive. I procrastinate. I'm restless. I'm distracted. I can't sit still. And if you can't do that because it's worked for so long and this has been set up and accepted and adopted, that means it's not, it's not our problem. It's not our problem that it's a 9-to-5 because other people can do it. That's a you problem. You should be able to fit into that mold. And then we look at the work from home. Works for a lot of people, not for everyone, right? And maybe there's constraints. It still needs to be 9-to-5 or in a certain geographical location or a certain home office, or maybe you have lots of freedom with it and maybe that doesn't work, right? It's like, I can't set boundaries in my day. I still don't get my work done. I still get distracted. I do too many fun things and I'm not, online enough completing my work, communicating with my coworkers, but that's how it's set up. So if you can't structure your day and have that accountability and discipline, there's something wrong with you because the work from home model or this model we've accepted is working for others. So why isn't it working for you? And we can look at the hybrid model or whatever you want to insert as an example. So it's this accepted, this adopted structure, a routine. And it's like, if you can't follow that because it's working for others and this is widely accepted, widely adopted, there's something wrong with you. If you don't fit into this, there's something wrong with you. If you don't fit into this faction, if you don't fit into this box, that's a you problem. And let's come back to the Divergent movie or book. It's like, is that true? Is that a me problem? Or is it because this has just been widely accepted and maybe never questioned? It was maybe blindly accepted, or it was good at one point, but we then went too far with it, became toxic. Or it was never updated. It was never flexible enough to adjust for changes for unique, us as unique beings, for each individual, for how society changed. And with that, it needs to be said that when we think of back to the 9-to-5 work week, it's like, well, everyone else can do it. Who is everyone else? And can they really? Because a lot of people, I'm going to say in air quotes, can, but at what cost? I think of people I've known in my professional life working in an office at a 9-to-5 that, yeah, they can do it, but it's killing them, energetically. Like it just burns them out to be able to sit at a desk and focus for that whole day. And they are not diagnosed neurodivergent, or that, that they would not classify themselves as that. Or the people who are like, I'm using so much willpower and discipline to do this because this is what is expected of me. And again, this is what everyone else is doing. It's adopted. It's widely accepted. So I have to fit in, because if not, I'm a failure, right? If everyone else is doing this, I have to be able to work this 9 to 5 and produce so much work. If not, I'm a failure. If not, I can't succeed, in a workplace as an adult. If not, there must be something wrong with me. And whether they're diagnosed or not, same process or same thought patterns. Or there's that person's like, okay, 9 to 5, I'm doing it. I can do it because, this is what's expected of me. This is what's always been true. And it kills their soul a little bit. It's not fulfilling at all. They're like, I can do this. I have the willpower. I have the discipline. I have the mental energy to do this, but it's killing my soul. It is not filling my cup. And life feels very blah, dull. Just, it's just that everything's busy that one day, and then the next day, the sprint towards the weekend, that type of mindset. So even though this widely accepted and adopted 9 to 5 work week, and I love this example, so stick with me, that we assume it's working for everyone else, but in actuality, I'm going to say it is not. It's just that they may be silent in it. They may not realize that they're, this is all they know, that there could be a better way, to life, to the actual work schedule. And then to some of us, it's like, oh, this is not working for me. Oh my goodness. This could be or is ADHD. Because we look at the certain characteristics. I can't sit still. I can't focus for that long. The lights affect me. The sounds affect me because, other people are around me. It's like I can't, I'm too sensitive to that. So it must be ADHD. And there could be truth in that. And again, the whole conversation today is about why this ADHD doesn't exist. So again, stick with me. And we then internalize there's something wrong with me. Diagnosis happens, or potentially will happen. Okay, now I can classify that there is something wrong with me. So this 9 to 5 still exists, but I need to find accommodations to work within this, which is great, right? This is what we're moving forward in society. It's like construct exists, the 9 to 5 doesn't work for you. Great. Okay, amazing. You're awake to that. We notice that. Perfect. Let's make accommodations so it can work for you to a certain extent. Maybe noise canceling headphones. Maybe it's being able to work a little bit on your own time, maybe work from home. Maybe it's just being in a different environment with different lighting, or different desk setup, a sit-stand desk. But there's still something wrong with you. You have ADHD. We're going to try and adjust this construct that we've created in society. We're going to try to, somewhat align with you. But again, it's a you problem. It's not an us problem, it's a you problem. There's something wrong with you that you can't fit into this. And this is not true. It's not true at all. It probably doesn't work for majority, like 90, maybe 95% of the population. It's just, like I said before, they've accepted it in some way that's slowly killing their soul, their energy, their aliveness in life, their joy in life. But perhaps you're the one who got the diagnosis, which I'm going to get into this further, is magic. It's liberating. I'm going to tell you why. But we use it as, okay, diagnosis. I have a disorder, a disability. There's something wrong. Now I can identify it. And this is why I can't fit into this box that honestly no one else can fit into. And we're going to try and accommodate. So this is good. Step forward. But because it's looked at in a negative light, this is always going to affect or hinder you or create limitations for you. And it's because it's going to hit at your self-worth. You're going to see yourself as less than. You will, because it's there. It's subconsciously always there. But it's not a you problem. It's what has been set up what's been constructed and accepted in, society, in this workplace, my workplace example, and it doesn't work for a lot of people. It's not a you problem. It's not. And I'm going to go into the neurodivergent and neurotypical and what that actually means. It's not because you're neurodivergent. It's not because there's a subset of humans that has a different mindset and a subset of humans that is what we call neurotypical. That's not how it is. It's not. It's not, because then when we think of that, we're thinking, let's go back to the Divergent movie. We're thinking the neurotypicals are the ones that are in the factions, that they belong in these boxes that make sense. They're one-sided, and it's not true. Everyone is neurodivergent because we're all unique beings. Our brains all work in a different way. And by that, I mean we have different personalities, different characteristics, different upbringings, different environments that we've been in and are in currently, and different experiences that shape us, different skill sets, different zones of genius. Like, we were made to be 100% unique. That is truth. So how can we then say there is a subset of humans, which I think is almost only at like 50%, last stat I heard, that is all of the same. They all work the same, but there's, 50% neurodivergent that work differently. That's not true. We're all different. It's just that those that we consider all the same have accepted certain constructs, this 9-to-5 workday, and some it does work for. Some it works for a little bit, but they're able to adjust enough that it's like, it's not that much of a hindrance. I can adjust. Then there's some that, it's actually really challenging, but I have enough, maybe discipline or willpower, enough to really adjust to it, or it's literally slowly killing their joy, their aliveness, their taxing their energy, but that's all they know, right? Again, based on how we're so unique, based on our upbringing, experiences, and whatnot. And then there's the subset that's like, it does not work for me. Either they're like, I'm not going to accept that, does not work for me. Or it's, I literally can't do it, right? I literally can't do it. And it's not that some are all alike and some are not. It's that we're all completely different. It's just our tolerance window of how much we can accept of what is already created in this, structured way, in this societal construct. So it is not a you problem. If anything, it's an all of us problem. If anything, you're the one that's like, this doesn't work for me. And that is the first step forward to waking up and changing things for the better, Like back to our Divergent movie example where they realized, I mean, spoilers here, that when they followed the Divergence, when everyone started to wake up to realize we're all divergent, we can live actually really harmoniously. Let's throw another example or idea out there. What if our world was inverted? And by that, I mean, what if all of who we classify as neurotypicals, maybe there's people in your life, were actually the neurodivergents and you were neurotypical, meaning that the world set up exactly for you. Like, imagine your perfect workplace, I like the work example, so stick with me, but your perfect workplace, work setting, work environment, like how you do your work, what work you do, or any other area of your life that's coming to mind. Like, what if it was perfectly set up for you? And if you have neurodivergent friends, it's perfectly set up for them. And you're like, oh my God, this is just so easy to operate. Like my distractions help me. I'm actually maybe not even getting distracted. I'm not even procrastinating. I'm never late for things. Like, everything just works out for me. And then we look at the neurotypicals that we know of now, and they're actually the neurodivergents. They are struggling to fit in because they're like, oh my God, I need this, one structured thing to sit with. I can't, multitask on all these projects. Like, maybe your what we would say a neurotypical friend does, because we're inverted. You get what I mean? Like, what if they're the ones struggling? So we look at them like, okay, so you need a 9-to-5 work week. Well, that's not how things operate in this world. No, it's actually the complete opposite. So you got to try and fit in. And if not, here's some medication. Here are some tools and tactics to try and fit in with us, because clearly there's something wrong with you, right? Like if the world was inverted and looked that way, it can completely change our perspective in such a liberating way. Because, and even maybe pause this to take a moment and just think, like, if the world was exactly set up for me and my neurodivergent friends, my ADHD friends, how would that look and feel? And why can't that be true? Why can't that be true for you, for us? And that doesn't mean, like I said before, it doesn't mean that, oh, we're, ousting our neurotypical friends from society. No, that means that they also can have the world set up for them. Because like I said, a lot of them are also struggling too. Their window of tolerance may be bigger. Maybe they're just not yet realizing or diagnosed with being neurodivergent. We do know the amount of diagnoses is increasing substantially, because I heard about 50% of the population now. But what if it was also perfectly set up for each of them? How would that look? Wouldn't that be so liberating, where you can use your energy, you can use your skill set, you can use how you work, how you live your life, how you operate, how you communicate with people in your way, and it actually works for everyone. Because it's no longer a you problem, it's no one's problem. We're actually all working in our own unique individual ways. And maybe it would be chaotic in society, right? Like, how could we ever create some sort of system and structure and routine if we're all just operating our own way? And this is why society is set up in such a successful way. Like, look at where we are in today's life, right? Look at where we are. We progress so much because we do need some structure. We do need some replication for us to feel supported and anchored with. Because if you're someone who I need some sort of structure in my workday, if there was nothing, nothing would get done, right? You just do all, what would you do? What do I usually do if I don't have structure? I would avoid all the things I need to do, right? I need some structure. So there is benefits to this. It's like back to the movie. We take something too far, it starts to become toxic. You take too much of the medicine, it becomes poison. Right? You take an antidote, you take your cold medicine, but if you take too much, it becomes a toxin to you. If you take it when you're not sick, it can become detrimental to your health. So yeah, all the structures and societal constructs we've created have been so beneficial, but they can also be toxic, and they have been too much, right? Because we've forgotten about who we are and our individualism, our uniqueness. I'm going to link a video below, or a podcast below, about human design. This is by far, in my opinion, the best way to understand yourself, your skill set, and how you use those skills in the world, to understand and see really wow, I am my own unique being. Because you may have the same or similar skill set as a friend, or maybe let's say the same. You're we are both good at X, Y, and Z. But how you do that work is going to be different. Even if there's similarities, your life experiences, your upbringing, even in the last 5 years, your experiences, your perspective of the world, your opinions, how you interact with the world, your environment, people around you, your current environment, all of that is going to affect how you put your skills out into the world, right? You and your friend could both be carpenters, but you're going to operate in two different ways when you truly tap into that. And human design is such a great way to help you uncover that, what that looks like. And that's what I mean by we're all unique and have unique skills to offer the world. And when we can do that, because no one else can do what you can do in the way you can do it. Nobody. I want to say that again. No one else in the world can do what you can do in the way that you do it, because no one is you. No one is exactly like you. Even if you think there's someone else who can do this better, or I do the same thing as this person, that's not true at all. And a lot of us haven't even uncovered what our true skill set is, and given ourselves permission to do it in the way that is of most ease and most fulfilling and joyous to us. And again, that's why I love human design. It really gives you that roadmap forward in that. But no one can do what you can do and how you do it. No one. And when we lean too much on structure, that can help us. But when we lean too much onto it, then we start to lose that uniqueness, which makes us truly us and the skills we need to offer the world. And how does all relate back to why ADHD does not exist? That's why you came here before and you're like, where is this going? Okay, let me bring this back together. Well, if we viewed as everyone being 100% uniquely different, which we are, that is truth, that is fact, then why are some people accepted as neurotypicals? We can even say accepted, right? They're accepted and they can operate in society successfully. Neurodivergent, they struggle, they need accommodation. We're now putting ourselves into two factions. Like, how can that be true? It can't be. It can't. Because we're all 100% unique. And like I said, it's the window of tolerance of how many of what we call neurotypicals can accept the structures that have become too toxic. And then there's the neurodivergents that either have a smaller window of tolerance or have woken up to, I'm not going to accept this anymore. I'm going to do things my own way. I'm going to challenge what's been accepted and do it a new way. And it can still be to a toxic extent. And you're probably, saying out loud, asking your mind, you're like, but I really struggle. I struggle with, showering, with brushing my teeth. These are things that aren't just societal constructs. These are things that are for my wellness and my health. This is really hard. I can't even operate. I can't even put my gifts into the world because I struggle so much. Well, what if the world was set up exactly for you? Whatever that looks like, what if it was exactly set up for you? Things would feel easier in certain ways, right? Because it was exactly catered to you, whatever that looks like. And it would be hard for someone else. So it's not that you are disabled, disordered. It's just how we operate is one way, and that is not in the best way for you. And this is why there's such a range of symptoms in ADHD as well, is because it's what's my window of tolerance with, how things are set up? How far away is my, ideal way of living from what is true in the world right now? And it's shaped by our life, our experiences, our environment. If someone experiences a lot of trauma, that does, yes, affect your brain. It does. This is going to affect your brain development. So yes, things are going to be harder. Disabilities do exist, and how we classify them, that's a topic for another time, but that exists, right? Your brain, I don't say is wired differently, but the development of your brain, your experiences, again, if we look at trauma, that affects you, affects your brain. But that doesn't mean that you still don't have skills that you can put in the world in some way, in the unique way you do them. I believe that God all gave us, again, these skills. It wasn't well, everyone has skills except for you. You're just, shit out of luck. You just have a disability and sorry, you have no use in this world. No, we all have a purpose and a use and to bring good to the world. We're all worthy. If you are disabled, you are not any less worthy. And you have a certain skill set, even as a disabled person, in that if you identify that as, being your ADHD, you still have gifts to bring in the world in your way. And when we fall into, let's say, the trap of, let's say, labeling ourselves as ADHD or neurodivergent, when we put ourselves in the box, we're this is what I am. This is a struggle. This is inhibiting me. This is limiting me. We dilute our skills. We dilute them. We're okay, I know I'm good at this, but it's hard for me in this way. But, I can't meet deadlines. But I can't stay focused. But, I'll never quite be able to succeed in that way because of my limitations. And you can list them. We dilute our skills. We dilute ourselves. We lower our self-worth. We see less And that is what is actually limiting you. That is what's standing in your way. This lack of worthiness and not seeing your worth. Not seeing your worth is what's truly limiting you, not your ADHD. Yes, ADHD symptoms exist. Again, how society's set up, based on your window of tolerance, based on the severity of what you're experiencing compared to how the world's actually operating. Yes, that exists, but what really limits you, what really actually is the biggest roadblock, is the low self-worth patterns. It's you seeing yourselves as not good enough, that you can't do what you know you are meant to do in this world. Why are there, as we label them, successful people who have ADHD, who've built huge businesses, huge, very successful businesses, who are maybe keynote speakers, influential speakers, world renowned, or maybe they're philanthropists, people who are doing good work in the world that we see as successful. We don't know their entire story, who say they have ADHD. And we know in society too, there's people who have physical disabilities that are just changing society, changing the world, doing great work. So why are they able to do it but not you? Because they see themselves as capable. They see themselves as, I am worthy of this, and I have my skills that I need to share in the world in my unique way, and no one else can do it. No one else can. Only you can do what you can do. And you need to see yourself in the worthiness, the full worthiness that you actually are, because that is the biggest limiting thing right now. ADHD, if we want to say it exists because of certain upbringings, traumatic events, brain development, and we need a way to classify that your development as a human is different than someone else's, that's fair. But we also don't know that person over there, their own development could be classified as well as something that we haven't classified yet. But because they have a window of tolerance to fit within what we define as a neurotypical, in a neurotypical world, because they're able to fit into that, then we don't add that label. So yes, those labels can help us understand certain things. But if we're all unique, with our own unique upbringings, does it really exist, ADHD? When it doesn't limit you, it's just the fact that we're seeing ourselves in a lower light because things have been a struggle and we believe that we can't do it and we're not worthy of it. But we've seen people who are physically, mentally disabled, as we classify it, doing great work in the world. We've seen that to be true. So why are we using a label that's actually just hurting us, hurting our self-worth, putting a limitation on us subconsciously? Even if you're like, oh no, it's my superpower, subconsciously it is. Because honestly, if not, you probably wouldn't be watching this or listening to this. And I mentioned this at the start of the podcast of why having an ADHD diagnosis can be so liberating, can literally be the guiding light that you need, that you've received. It was for me. It was a bit of a journey to get here, but it was, because it gave me permission to show up differently. It gave me permission to see myself differently. It gave me permission to start to understand who I truly was, that I wasn't like everyone else. I am my own unique being. And then there are those that see themselves as neurotypical. And I think of friends that are this, and some have even been diagnosed later on as neurodivergent, but they're not given that opportunity or that pattern interrupt to do a self-inquiry and say, am I just fitting into a societal mold? Am I actually using the skills that are innate to me in the way that, and using them in a way that feels so easy and natural and intuitive to me? Like, they are not given the opportunity. And when, for me, and I want this for you too, when you're diagnosed, it's like, oh, whoa, okay. No wonder things have felt hard, but no wonder I've always thought that something was different about me? I always thought that, there was something else that I wasn't quite like the others. And now it's giving me the chance to look into that, to do a self-inquiry, to start to question. And others who see themselves as neurotypical, that is still within them. It's just they perhaps haven't been given the opportunity. They are maybe so stuck in what is set up for them in the world, which is great. It's their own journey, that they didn't get that little nudge to say, hey, there's actually a different way to use your skills. Actually, that's not your skill set. Actually, there's a different way to go about your life. They haven't been given that nudge. Or maybe they have, right? Some have, of course. If we want to use the term neurodivergent, I believe we all are neurodivergent. And that diagnosis can be just the most liberating thing for you, but only if we can see it in the light of, who am I really? What are my skills? How am I best to use them? How can I just fully own them, knowing that I'm 100% worthy, 100% equal to everyone in the world, and I'm 100% unique? And now how can I move forward to bring good to the world? It's like a homecoming. It's a homecoming to ourselves, of who we truly are. And neurotypicals, I hope who classify themselves as neurotypicals, this can still happen for them without diagnosis. But perhaps the increases of diagnoses will benefit us all. All of a homecoming for all of us, a wake-up call, that self-inquiry that we're desperately needing. We're moving towards this, next chapters, next evolution of life here. And you could probably feel a shift just with what's happening in the world. But we're moving towards a call for individualism, of coming back to the self, back to the individual, moving away from the community, still within community, but coming back to, who are we? Who am I? And how can I show up in the world more authentic? That's a nice buzzword now. How can I show up more as me, in my power, in my truth, using my skills to bring more good to the world? So when I say ADHD doesn't exist, what I really mean, it's a different way to look at what we're classifying as ADHD. It's seeing it in a different light, not seeing it as a hindrance, not seeing it as a disability, not seeing it as a disorder, not seeing it as something to be shamed about, not seeing it as something that needs accommodations for, but rather a wake-up call of, who am I really? What are my unique skills? How can I put these skills into the world in the only way that I can, that no one else can do? It's really a homecoming to who we truly are, if we allow it to be. So I'm giving you permission to stop putting yourself down for a diagnosis you've received or think you have, because that dilutes your skills, and it's putting your self-worth, it's hurting your self-worth. I give you full permission to own who you are, your worth, your power, and take agency back in your life. If this resonated, I would love to hear that. Put in the comments. You can send me an email. It's in the show notes, just depending where you're watching or listening to this. If you have questions, reflections, I would just love to hear what came up for you. And if you agree or don't agree, or if you want to come after me and crucify me for saying all of this, let's hear it. Thank you for being here. I'll see you next time. Much love.